Hey everyone, how's it going? Octopus here and welcome back to Union Cross. So we're doing our 7-star medal guide. I'm going to show you guys how to make a 7-star medal. I'm going to show you what is the best tier 3s to go for, unique medals that got new buffs, extra trait slots, big increase in damage, and what do you do with your copycat medals? Do we upgrade our copycat medals first or do we not? Depending on what situation you guys want to go for. So let's start off with the basics, and the basics is basically how do you make a 7-star medal? Currently in the game, the only way to make a 7-star medal is with these blue fairies, and blue fairies are only in PvP for now. Later on, they're going to be in quests and high score challenges. They're going to be just like Mickey and Brooms and Magic Mirrors. They're going to be distributed to everyone very easily. For now, it is for the best of the best. But that does not mean that we're going to fall behind, because the tier 3s are actually better than some tier 7s and tier 8s. I'm going to go over that in this video. But how do you make it? You're going to get bronze tickets, silver tickets, and gold tickets, depending on what rarity you get. Whatever the number says on the medal of the blue fairy is the type of medal you can upgrade. So once you do your polls and you get your blue fairies, you're going to go to your medal list, and let's just go for something like Waka. So if we hit evolve on Waka or any medal in the game, it's going to tell you what's happening to that medal. So everything in yellow is what the medal acquires. So the medal's going to go from a level 100 out of 100 to 120, and it's going to take a lot of HDLs and a lot of planes to upgrade. Its strength is going to go from 6,000 to 7,000, and even more when you level out to 120. It's going to go over 10,000 strength. Defense and cost also increase. Cost stays the same, but the things that change is multiplier. Now there's two different multiplier increases on the majority of the medals. Like I said, some other medals have unique conditions, but for majority, AoE medals get an increase of 1.76, and your single target / random medals get an increase of 2.46. As you guys can see from here, 1.67 to 4.34. And it just stays the same from there. 1 gauge requires. But you can see, because Waka is a tier 1, it requires the level 1 blue fairies. If you go to a tier 2, you have to use the level 2 blue fairies, so on and so on. That's how you guys have to increase it. All you gotta do is grab these blue fairies and you can make these medals into 7-star. Now, the only benefit of making 7 stars out of the tier 1s and 2s is literally just for sub slots. So you just want to go sub slots and choose which medals you want to increase. So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, in sub slots, every Keyblade has a unique medal placement. So right here where I have my Pence is sitting on a power slot. I got to make a 7-star magic medal to put in this slot. You have to follow the patterns. If you go something for like Fenrir is all power, so you just got to make a bunch of 7-star power medals between upright and reverse for certain slots, but just pure 7-star power medals, and you can get a lot of damage increase out of that Keyblade. So go by the Keyblade you guys want to increase damage in. That way you just follow the pattern. So your next 7-star for me is going to be a blue one, and then I'm going to make another 7-star tier 1 or 2 into a red one, and then I'm going to grab one of those magic ones, so on and so on, until I increase all the sub slots. So that is the only thing you guys want to be looking at when it comes to tier 1s and 2, and that's only until you start getting some higher blue fairies, because the higher the multiplier on the medal, the better. So tier 1s and 2s don't have that great of a multiplier. When you start going to bigger medals like the tier 6s and higher, you're going to see the sub slots jump in power. So for now, this is going to hold us off for having tier 1s and tier 2s. So what is the best tier 3s in the game? Now, currently the two best tier 3s in the game, now that we know how to evolve everything, is Sykes-B and Setzer. Why is that? That is because they start with such a huge multiplier. Once you apply, because he's random attack, that 2.46 on there, the multiplier flies. Same thing with Sykes-B. You add a 2.46 on there, his multiplier goes up to the 8.67. So there is such 8.87. There's such an increase in that multiplier that it just makes this medal so much better, even though it's a tier 3. If you guys don't know how guilt works, when a medal is tier 3 and it's fully guilted, you're going to times this multiplier by 2. So currently this Sykes-B has a multiplier of 12.82. But once we evolve him, his multiplier becomes 8.87. And again, we times that by 2, becoming a multiplier of 17.74. That is on par with a lot of tier 7s and higher. So that being said, your best bet is go for the multipliers that are the biggest. And I'm going to show you guys an example here. So this is all the tier 3 metals in order of how much of a multiplier they have. Like I said before, Setzer 14.30, Sykes-P max multiplier 12.82. But once you add that extra gilt in there, that extra 2.46, that's going to go to 17.74. So you guys can choose by raw damage what you want to go for. We have Master Xehanort here, who is pullable. So is Master Hercules. You can't get medals like this anymore. They're high score challenge medals. These were farmable medals for an event. Same thing, organization monthly that we used to have. But you guys just go through all your medals, and I'm going to show you real quick here. These are the best tier 3 medals to go for. Even a medal like Rock Titan, and I'm going to have an example of this very soon. Rock Titan is on par with Hercules B once you make him a 7-star. So let me clear all this out and let me show you the best of the best. Now, the best multipliers in the game, as they are just raw damage, is Warrior of Light, Terra, and then you have the Scar, Diz, and King Trident. They've got multipliers of 24, 24, and 2190. Not even a 7-star. When they become a 7-star, their multipliers fly even more. These are 24 because they added 30% increase to their guilt, but you can ignore that for now. But remember I told you that Rock Titan is as good as this Hercules B? Even though this Hercules B has a multiplier of 19.80, once you make that Rock Titan into a 7-star, there's something else you guys got to consider besides guilt. But I'm going to get to that in the next part of this video. For now, I want to talk about also what is your best bets besides damage. There's another factor into making 7-stars. They get a unique buff depending on the medal, and some of them get more than others. But the general thing is, if a reverse medal becomes a 7-star and it's a premium or a limited time medal or a high score challenge medal, it will get a 3 upright if it's an upright medal, or a 3 reverse strength up if it's a reverse medal. So depending on the medal, it will get that buff. Now there's a couple tier 3s that actually have that. And like I said before, it falls under the category of high score challenge medals. So if you guys have a Sebastian now does upright strength and strength by 3. And if you have extra attack on any of these medals, then you're going to have 6 upright strength and 6 strength buff if you have Sebastian. Illustrated Kyrie as a tier 4. 0.2 Kyrie will have the ×6 upright strength buff. So you guys got to look at that if you want another buffer. But for uniqueness, you got Beats and Rhymes over here, who also gets the 3 up because he is high score challenge. As you guys can see, he used to be high score challenge medals that were event medals that were farmable, given out for free. Sadly, don't get it except for certain occasions in the higher ranks that I'll show you. And then we have unique medals like Maui and Moana that go from, let me show you right now. Maui over here is an AoE medal that does 1.60, costs 3 gauges, and for 3 attacks raises power strength by 3. But when we evolve Maui or Moana, they actually become 1 turn. So no longer 3 attacks, power strength by 3, and fills 6 gauges and costs 0. So not only did he just get a huge buff, and he got more on top of him. So for 0 cost, restore 6 gauges, pretty decent AoE damage, and also being the whole turn now instead of just the 3 attacks. Because I believe the JP version, Maui and Moana, were actually for the entire turn. I could be wrong on that, but it looks like they're changing our medals that we got unique and changing them just like JP. So we're kind of like becoming on par with JP, and that's going to be shown in a lot more medals as we go. But like I said before, medals like this tier 3 won't get the buff. All it says, inflicts more damage the lower your HP. That's because it's not a special tier 3. Only certain special tier 3s get that. And again, it's limited time medals like World of Final Fantasy medals and high score challenge medals are what get that extra buff. Like right here, World of Final Fantasy Cloud goes from being just the World of Final Fantasy Cloud that we know down to only costing 1 gauge and getting the upright strength buff by 3. So for 3 turns, every single Keyblade in PvP will have upright strength by 3. So if you guys need something like that, these World Final Fantasy medals are incredible for that. And on top of it, these World Final Fantasy medals got an extra trait slot. Again, I think it's going on par with the JP stuff, but now from 1 trait slot to 2 trait slots on a tier 3. So it depends on the medals. All you gotta do is evolve it and you guys will see the uniqueness. That applies to all the World of Final Fantasy medals. They get that upright strength or reverse strength depending on what they are. Again, event medals that were farmable, no. Organization event medals, no, they don't get that buff. But anything that was special for high score challenge or limited time was part of the buffs, except for Behemoth, this Shadow, and Darkside from what I found so far. Even though Shadow here was part of a high score challenge, he did not get the buff, and I think it's because JP Shadow was a farmable medal, so they kind of just, I don't know if they're going to fix this later for us, but for now our Shadow and our Darkside and our Behemoth from the high score challenges do not get any kind of buff, which sucks because I like my little Shadow. Again, as you go through high score challenge medals like Zero gets that buff of the upright strength, and so on and so on. And then from there into tier 4s, guys, you guys are going to notice that tier 4s and higher are counting as premiums except for some of them, and they all have that upright or reverse strength buff. Now, the unique thing here, guys, is Chippendale was a high score challenge medal, so it got the upright strength by 3, as you guys can see. But currently in the game, the only pullable medal tier 3 that we have that actually got a buff was Iago. So if we evolve Iago actually gets an upright strength buff by 3. So that's kind of weird, but he's pullable, and if you get extra attack on him, you're going to be restoring 8 gauges and buffing your upright strength by 3. Now, I don't know if that's a typo and they're going to change it to reverse later, or they're going to take it away altogether, but as of now, people are saying that this has upright strength by 3. I don't know if it works. I don't know if you make it a 7-star, if it's actually going to do that. So don't go making this a 7-star and then finding out that it's just a typo in the description and it doesn't actually apply the buff. If you guys have seen it in person, let us know down in the comment section. So go look in the comment section and see if anyone said it. And I'll try to verify it before you guys just see some troll write it down there. So again, the best thing for my advice, guys, for tier 3s, I just showed you the list of all the powerful tier 3 medals that we currently have by percentage. You guys just want to go for that for pure damage. But if you want to be unique, go for medals that have extra attack, that buff, and now they're going to have an upright strength buff. So my Cinderella and Jack here is going to have 3 upright strength, and it's going to have the defense strength and attribute strength for 2 turns, and with extra attack, I'm going to double all that for all my turns. So when you're looking at medals and you guys need buffers or anything like this is like a free-to-play buffer kind of thing. You guys want to go for your buffers. So you just push strength and attribute strength up, and any of these medals that actually have extra attack or just in general have a buff now become that much better. So 0.2 Kairi, if you have extra attack on 0.2 Kairi, she'll give you 6 upright strength along with maxing out your strength times 7, and then PSM strength by 2, and defense down, PSM defense down on the enemy by 2 as well, and restores 8 gauges. So 0.2 Kairi actually becomes part of the meta now because of that. Sorry, it recovers HP, it doesn't restore gauges, but like I said, it becomes part of the meta a little bit. If you guys are missing a couple buffers for PvP, you can make cheap buffers out of the free-to-play stuff. So the same thing applies to everything else, especially limit time, upright strength. If you got anything with extra attack and a boost, you guys are good. Even without that, it still applies it. Of course, medals like Kairi become times 5 upright strength instead because it came with 2, add 3 more, but that's for later on. We're talking about the lower cases here. But your best bet is look for medals that are buffers and get that upright strength buff. Like my Sebastian I just said, not this one, but this one has extra attack, and again, I'll have a times 6 upright strength and a times 6 strength. So look out for future medals like that. That's what you guys want to look for. Then you guys got some unique medals that were single target, but it turned into AoE, and I think they're changing it because, again, the JP stuff. So a medal like HD Beast here, he is single target, has a multiplier 4.30, and raises power strength by 3 tiers for 1 turn. So this was just straight damage, good big hit. But when we evolve him, he actually becomes an AoE, and he loses multiplier, but deals more damage to higher HP. Again, I think they're changing them because of the JP version. We get the upright power strength together times 3, so he does get a buff in a sense. For the 1 turn, you get upright and power strength by 3 and power defense down by 2, and all you gotta do is have higher HP. So it's not really a nerf, it is a buff, but it changed it into an AoE medal, which is weird. As you guys can see here, it only raises power strength, but then it gets 2 more buffs, upright buff and power defense down by 2. But the base multiplier, if it's not full HP, if you're not full HP, it goes down to 3.89. But realistically, we're always going to have full HP if we have a healer, so 5.35. So it is a buff all around. The only debuff we see here is that it goes to 4 gauges. Now, don't get confused by, well, if you do the math, this plus this, when you have a medal that's not fully gilted, you're going to see the multiplier might be more than 1.76 or 2.46. That's because the dots aren't full. So what am I really talking about? Pooh here, if you look, Pooh is an AoE. He got a full buff of that 1.76 perfectly. But if you go for an AoE medal that doesn't have full dots on it, something like this, you guys are going to see a bigger jump, a 2.94 to a 4.86. And you're like, well, that one got a bigger multiplier even though it's AoE. That's because your guilt's not full. So don't get confused by the math. Everything gets an increase of 1.76 for AoE and 2.46 for single target and random attacks. So, like I was talking about before, everything pretty much from 4 and onwards counts as a unique medal and gets that buff, except for certain medals. So upright strength by 3, as you guys can see. But when you go to my girl Ursula, Ursula, is she a tier 4 or is she a tier 5? I'm not. Oh, there's that behemoth. No, not destroyer behemoth. He was unique. This behemoth, like I was talking about, high score challenge, does not get that reverse strength up. So stuff like that, that high score challenge kind of got knocked off. Same thing with my dark side down here, like I was talking about before, didn't get that reverse strength. So sad times, but that's what they did. I believe Ursula is a tier 5, and if you guys go look at Ursula, she should count towards the buff, but she doesn't. She deals a 5 exceptionally powerful hits for 1 turn, magic strength by 3, and that's it. She didn't get the reverse buff or upright buff. So make sure when you're evolving, check to see that the medals actually get that reverse buff. As you guys can see, reverse strength by 3. Some medals got it, some medals didn't. Most of the time, high score challenges definitely get it. The medals that don't get it are VIP medals. Any medal that you bought off VIP actually didn't get the buff. As you guys can see, PSM strength by 1, defense down by 1, PSM defense, and that's it. That goes for all VIP medals except for 2. And the 2 I'm talking about are Marluxia and Kingdom Hearts 3 Mickey. So Marluxia being the first one, very curiously, I believe because again JP Marluxia wasn't part of VIP. Marluxia was actually a pullable medal. If we go to evolve Marluxia, even though he was VIP and we got multiple copies, there's that reverse strength by 3. And you guys could have extra attack on that, and that just makes this medal even more incredible, plus the increase of 1.76 to AoE. So he's going to get so much stronger because of that. And again, the other VIP medal is Kingdom Hearts 3 Mickey. We got 1 for free, which is probably why they're counting it, but the rest was in VIP. So you could have extra attack on this medal as well, which makes this medal ridiculous because now it increases your upright strength by 4, as you guys can see right there. So those are the 2 unique VIP medals I could find that had the buff but others didn't. But pretty much anything else from there, guys, you're going to see the upright and reverse strength actually in the medal. So just look through it and go by the best multipliers. Quickly again, I'll show you by clearing all this over here, the best multipliers in the game are up here. The Warrior of Lights, the Diz, the Scar, King Trident, and you can see Hercules, you can see Genie, you can see the Donalds. You just guys got to go by that, but check each medal because each medal can be uniquely changed, like Moana, like Maui, like the HD Beast. Everything has a unique thing to it. You just got to look at when you evolve it. So that is pretty much all the unique medals that there is currently. So you guys can make your choice of what you want to go for. But tier 3s, the best is Sykes-B and that Setzer. Even though Setzer's a 50 chance of becoming really strong, there's a lot of RNG in the game we deal with anyway, so if he does hit, he hits incredibly. And if you copy it with a Copycat Medal, if you guys don't know how Copycat Medals work, a Copycat Medal copies a medal exactly, except that the Copycat Medal keeps its own strength and its own guilt. So if this HD Antiform Sora copied a tier 1, that tier 1 would become a tier 6. But you would keep the medals multiplier. So if we copied Goofy here, our HD Antiform Sora would copy a 4.45, but copy it as a tier 6. So it only apply 100%, 80% guilt to that and its strength. So that's how Copycat Metals work. Even if the copy metal is not a 7-star and it copies a 7-star, it will become a 7-star metal, taking its new multiplier and applying its own guilt. So you don't need to actually upgrade your Copycat Metals to 7-star to copy other metals, because when you copy a 7-star, it is a 7-star because it copies the metal's multiplier. So whatever new multiplier comes in, it will copy that. And when we take into consideration of how powerful Sykes B becomes when he is into an actual 7-star, he becomes 8.87. And if we times that by, let's say, a tier 3, so if we go 8.8, oops, I screwed that up, 8.87, and we times that by let's say 7 tier, so HD Vanitas, if tier 7 Copycat Metal copies it, it gets a multiplier of 26.61. That is going to be absolutely ridiculous. And like I said before, if we look at this and we look at the highest multiplier in the game with 30% extra guilt, Warrior of Light's only at 24.16. Now when I say only, I mean that's a lot. For Sykes B to be copied by Copycat Metal that's a tier 7 and having additional a multiplier of 26.61, that is ridiculous, guys. Absolutely ridiculous. And it gets even more interesting from this point on, because now what I'm going to talk about is actually not only do you have to look at a metal's multiplier, what's really important about 7-star metals is their strength boost. And that's what makes them better than tier 7s, tier 8s, tier 6s. This metal is currently better than our Warrior of Light, our Hercules, our Diz, everything. This metal is actually better than all those metals put together. I mean, compared to all those metals for raw damage. Not for buffs or debuffs or utility, just pure raw damage. I'm going to explain that in this next part. Before I actually go into the next part, one more thing on Copycat Metals. A lot of you are questioning Copycat Metals besides making a 6-star to a 7-star. Copycat Metals, when you make them into a 7-star, they also get that buff of reverse strength or upright strength by 3, but that only activates if the metal fails to copy something. So let's say we put Riku Replica in the first slot of our Keyblade, it's going to copy backwards. There's nothing there, so it failed to copy, but what it's going to do is give us that upright or reverse strength up by 3, and if you have extra attack, you actually get 6 upright or reverse strength depending on the metal. So that only applies if it doesn't copy something. It will give you that extra boost. So don't get confused by that when it comes to that. Now for this next part, guys, it's going to be a little bit complicated, but I'm going to try to explain it as good as I can. We're going to go with basic math here of the formula. So how does a metal determine its strength? A metal determines its strength by different factors. One, its strength times chips times the multiplier, Keyblade multiplier, the buffs of strength, defense down, all that, enemy's defense. There's so many factors in determining how much damage a metal is going to do. But what we're going to do is simplify that and go with the simple formula of this. So we're going to go with metal strength. So the metal strength plus chips, the extra 1,000 we get from there, times the total guilted multiplier. Now let me explain that just a little bit better so you guys don't get confused by this, because this is where the complicated part comes in. It's not too complicated once you know what you're looking at. So what I just said, the metal strength plus chips, so this metal has 8,507 strength, and then we're going to times these two together, so 7.32 times 3, because your guilt makes this damage multiplier bigger. So that becomes a 21.96 without its 30%. So we're not going to look at what a metal buffs or debuffs or what Keyblade it's sitting on or nothing like that. We're just going to look at the metal's raw damage. So simple formula, guys, is strength plus chips times this put together, the total max guilt. So that's going to be 21.96. And that's where we're going to get our damage. So this part got cut out on my video for some reason, so I had to re-record it. But Warrior of Light's multiplier here is 7.32. We're going to times that by 3 times because he is a tier 7, getting a total multiplier of 21.96. And now when we times that with his strength of 8,507, Warrior of Light has a damage output of 186,813. So now when we go to Sykes B, if we make him a 7-star, So because we can make him a 7-star compared to Warrior of Light, he can't be a 7-star yet. Sykes B has a multiplier of 8.87. We're going to times that by 3, giving us a total multiplier, or sorry, times 2, giving us a total multiplier of 17.74. So you might be saying to yourself, well, 17.74 times the 8,328, Sykes B is weaker. Yes, but the thing about making a 7-star medal, and this applies to all medals, not just Sykes B being better than everyone, is that this attack is going to go up to 12,000, and then plus the chips, 13,080 something. I believe it's like 86. So when we get that multiplier of 17.74 and we times it by, let's just go 13,000, we have an attack of 230,000 raw damage, not including buffs, debuffs, enemies defense, and all that. Just pure damage. Sykes B is better. Now, this is just my math and what I've been going through all these years. I could be wrong here, but this is how you multiply that basic part of the medal, not including everything else, guys. Just the basic part of the medal determining how much damage it has. Sykes B has more damage as a 7-star compared to our current tier 7s and tier 8s. Well, some tier 8s are a little bit more powerful, but compared to our Warrior of Light, Sykes B is better as long as it gets its reverse, its reverse defense down the enemy, reverse buff up, all that. But when we look at just pure damage, if we can complete the formula in the beginning of the Keyblade for buffs and debuffs, then this medal is going to do more damage than any medal anyone currently has in the game, because we can't make tier 6s, 7s, or 8s into a 7-star just yet. So for now, Sykes B is the best, and Setzer is also the best, but like I said, Setzer has a 50% chance of happening. So that is how I'm looking at this when I talk about this next part of the video, and that's how I'm going to pull this up. So now we're going to look at exactly what I was just saying, and I'm going to go through a little slide with you guys. So metal strength plus 1,000 from chips times the total guilt. And here's a comparison that I got and I did the math for. So Hercules B, these are all as they are. Hercules B is a 6-star right now. The Rock Titan and Sykes B is a 7-star. So Hercules by himself, he's got a multiplier of 6.60, and he is a tier 7, so we times that by 3, we get the max multiplier of 19.80. 19.80 times 8,475, that is his strength mixed with the chips, that first part of the formula. So 19.80 makes a total damage output of 167,805. Rock Titan, a tier 3, when changing to a 7-star, gets the multiplier of 6.39, and with the guilt of 100%, we times that by 2, multiplier of 12.78. So every tier 3 that you guys can make that has a multiplier of 12.78 is on par with Hercules, with Genie, with any medal that has that multiplier of 19.80. So because he's a tier 3, he gets because he's a 7-star, he gets that boost up to 13,000 attack. It might vary from medal to medal, but just generally, let's say every medal gets up to 13,000 from tier 3 and higher. We don't know how much it's going to go for tier 7s and tier 6s. We're going to see that later. It might be the same for all medals, but obviously later on, making Hercules into a 7-star is going to dominate these tier 3s. But currently, tier 3s are strong, and this is why I'm making this video. So with 12.78 times 13,000 strength, and this is what I'm saying, guilt multiplier is not the biggest factor in this. Strength is huge, guys. So 12.78 times 13,000 actually makes about the same amount of damage. Even though this multiplier is huge, Hercules only has 8,000 strength. But when we make a 7-star, Rock Titan here has 13,000, just like Sykes B with 13,000 and something. You can see the damage difference. And like I said, Sykes B here, 8.87 times 2, 17.74 times that 13,000 strength that we've seen already. It's like 13,000 and something, 230,000. So the difference is huge, guys. So the whole thing is, don't just look at a medal's multiplier. Think about adding that strength. That strength makes a huge difference. So if you have plus 1,000 traits on your Sykes B, yours is even more incredible than everyone else's. Once you apply the proper general defense down and everything on the enemy, you're going to be seeing a ton of damage. This goes for PvP and PvE, especially PvE. These medals are going to destroy. Sykes B crazy damage. And if you want to see an example of this, go to the YouTuber called Endofin, and he has a video of Sykes B additional damage to the last Lexius quest we just did, and you can see how better Sykes B was than anything else in our game. It's incredible. So with that being said, we're going to jump to Copycat Metals now, and we're going to talk about what Copycat Metal you guys should be making 7-star or you shouldn't be making 7-star. And I'm going to show you guys all the comparison in all of this. Okay, so this next part is everyone asking the question of, should I upgrade my Copycat Metal into a 7-star or should I focus on other metals and making them a 7-star? Now, the basic thing, guys, is that Copycat Metals will always be what a metal is. So if a 6-star Copycat Metal copies a 7-star metal, it becomes a 7-star and copies that multiplier. But what I talked about with strength is that Copycat Metals, when they turn into a 7-star, they'll get up to that 13,000 strength boost, which makes a big difference when copying a new metal. Because now if we go from Scar, let's say we grab Scar and we grab a Copycat Metal that's a 7-star. So Scar here is 21.90. We do 21.90 times 13,000 and we get that much damage compared to just Scar being 21.90 times the 8,467 with chips. So it makes a big difference if you guys want overall damage difference. So let's say that you make Scar a 7-star, but then later on down the line, Scar gets replaced by the new tier 8 or tier 9. Even though it's not a 7-star, it just has better damage. Now your Copycat Metal is still on par. That is the only case that your Copycat Metals should be changed to 7-star, is because that increase in their strength is going to make a difference, because strength is just as good as an increase in multiplier, if not better. So with that being said, let's look at the next part. The next part is going to be me showing you guys what you should be doing with your Copycat Metals and why it makes such a big difference not to make them 7-stars if you don't want overall utility. So right here is an example that I'm going to show you guys. So in this case right now, this Vanitas is a 7-star. So what does that mean? Ignore this Scar for now. Let's pretend we are copying the Scar that I showed you with 21.90 and so on. So the Scar has a multiplier of 7.30. Our Vanitas is currently a 7-star, so it has an increase of 13,000 strength. So 7.30 times 3, because it's a tier 7, is going to go to 21.90. That's what Scar's normal multiplier is. So 21.90 times 13,000 strength, because our copy metal is a 7-star, equals 284,700 damage with that simple formula that we're talking about, not including everything else or Scar's own buffs. So Scar, though, if you decide not to make your Vanitas a 7-star and make Scar a 7-star instead, you can see that Scar's multiplier goes to 9.76 from its 7.30, which makes it 29.28, and you times that by Scar's new boost of 13,000, having a damage output of 380,000. That is an increase of almost 100,000 damage, so it is better to make a metal into a 7-star instead of a Copycat Metal. But again, that's only if you don't want the convenience of always being able to copy any metal with a 13,000 strength. So in the case, it is better to make your metal 7-stars. Now to prove this, here's an example. Let's say that I kept Vanitas as a 7-star and I decided to do that instead of making Scar. So Vanitas is going to do 284,000 damage, and on the Keyblade, Scar is going to be a 6-star. So let's say we're using Dark Gnaw. Scar is going to do damage of 185,000 because it's 7.30 times 3, 21.90, and Scar's strength plus chips is 8,467. So that's how much damage Scar's dishing out as a 6-star, because we decided to make a Copycat Metal instead. The total damage with those two put together is 470,127. So as you guys can see, that is a total damage. But if we did it the other way around, our Copycat Metals stays as a 6-star and Scar became the 7-star, or any metal that you make a 7-star, our Copycat Metal is going to copy it as is if it's a 7.30, 21.9. So this is basically the Scar, a 6-star Scar. As you guys can see, 6-star Scar, that's exactly what Vanitas is going to become, a 185. But Scar, when he's fully guilted as a 7-star and all that, 380,000. When you put those two together on the Keyblade, that Keyblade is going to do much more damage because your Copycat Metal 6-star and Scar 7-star, 566,000, compared to a Copycat Metal becoming a 7-star instead. So you see the difference, 470 to 566. right there, guys, is an increase of 96,000 damage, a little bit less than that. So 96,000 damage increase in the Keyblade setup because you made a medal that wasn't a Copycat medal a 7-star. It's a huge difference. So if you don't want the convenience of making any medal with an extra 13,000 strength, it's best to always do medals into a 7-star. There's certain situations, if you had both of these, you'd be 380 times 380, you would have 760,000 damage. So if these both were 7-star guys, huge increase in damage, So in some cases, it might just be better to make that 7-star Copycat medal to give that 13,000 strength to all your medals, and then just slowly make your other medals 7-stars. Because once a Copycat medal is 7-star, you don't have to worry about it again. It's always future-proof, but they don't need to be 7-star because they copy as a 7-star, which is great. So that is pretty much everything for this video about the 7-stars for now. I know that I could have went into a little bit more detail on some stuff, but I really want to shine on like why strength and multiplier is not the final answer. It's your strength. So even though some tier 3s look like they're weak compared to multipliers, does not make that medal worse. It makes that medal better because it has that 13,000 strength. So explore your medals, guys. Go through everything. I spent a lot of time on this, so if you guys did enjoy it, let me know. If you don't agree with something I said in this video, let me know down in the comment section with a reason. Again, that was a basic formula, not including all the other factors, what the best Keyblade multiplier slots are, medals that give you extra buffs and debuffs. That was just pure medal damage of that simple part of the formula, how we judge which medal has a better outcome once it has all its buffs and debuffs. But again, whatever you guys want to leave down in the comment section, let's talk about it. If I am wrong, let me know why. But when it looks like this, this looks pretty solid, and you can see that side speed. Once I make mine into a 7-star, I'm gonna start showing you guys the damage output difference. So I will be making multiple videos for these 7-stars and 7-star medal spotlights as well. If you guys did enjoy the video, don't forget to hit the like button, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Keep on smiling, and I'll see you in the next one.